Biden set to start his Middle East trip today. He's scheduled to land in Israel in less than an hour. His first stop, the president will meet with the Israeli prime minister and Palestinian leaders today before flying east to Saudi Arabia.
For more, let's bring in Managing Director, Coalition for Jewish Values, Rabbi Yaakov Menken. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. Okay, let's start. So Israel and the U.S. are set to release a joint declaration on the future of their bilateral relationship tomorrow. What does Joe Biden need to do to accomplish on this trip?
What he needs to accomplish and what he's going to do seem to be two entirely different things. It's very unfortunate watching this play out. Joe Biden has already declared that the Middle East is a much more stable and better place than it was 18 months ago when he took office. I really wonder what 38 million Afghani citizens who've been stripped of basic civil rights now under the Taliban have to say about that. I mean, it's just he has reversed every positive policy that Donald Trump had put in place before him. And now he's committed to restoring funding to the Palestinian Authority while the Palestinian Authority continues its policy of pay to slay, which is to say, providing financial rewards to the families of terrorists. U.S. funding is now once again, and this time knowingly, going to pay the salaries for families of terrorists who tried or succeeded in murdering Jews and others, including Taylor Force, circumventing at the very least the Taylor Force Act. This is completely outrageous.
Rabbi Menken, the president wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, and he talked about how one of the major goals of this trip, we all know it's about oil and gas and trying to lower gas prices here before the midterms, but he said one of his major goals will be to try and strengthen ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and then he went into absolutely no specifics. How does he accomplish that starting today in about 45 minutes?
There is possibilities. I mean, one of the things that I've heard is that Saudi Arabia is going to allow direct overflights of El Al planes and other planes coming out of Israel, which would shorten the time between Israel and its ally India from the current 8-hour flight to a 5.5-hour flight. That is significant. That's a significant step forward. Obviously, it means that Israelis would be in contact with Saudi air traffic control. It means in a situation of an emergency, we might have an emergency landing on Saudi territory. And the Saudis are committed to dealing with that crisis in a responsible fashion. All of those are steps forward.
Yeah.
There's no question that when Trump left office, the Abraham Accords was ready to include more countries. This still could be done.
Yeah, you're so right. Rabbi, a major focus of this trip is the denuclearization of Iran. Do you expect Biden to make any strides in this goal?
Well, I don't think the Iranians are ready to let anybody make strides.
Yeah.
But it's certain that the attitude of appeasement and making agreements that simply don't work doesn't work for all the obvious reasons. Until the Iranians are actually committed to denuclearization, then the confrontation has to continue.
All right. Rabbi Menken, always great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.